Hey guys, welcome back to JD Mods. Today we're going to continue with the MR2 build. I think this video is coming out after the engine bay assembly. And this video, of course, is rebuilding the Gen 4 3S GTE. Doing a bit of a refresh on this. Lots of new gaskets, O-rings, paint, valve cover gasket, a bit of clutch flywheel stuff, wiring, and then, of course, dumping into my MR2. So here's how it looks right now. This did come out of an MR2, which makes me hopeful that the wiring isn't going to be too tough, as I am doing it myself. But it's really dirty, old. I'm not too sure on the history on it. So I have a bit of work to do here. But they're pretty simple motors. And I already bought all my rebuild parts. So let me quickly show you guys my rebuild parts, and then we'll dive in. We're going to start by removing the engine harness. It's really messy. It looks like the guy did the wiring himself, which is fine, but it's really messy. I'm going to obviously redo it. Looks like he didn't even bother to clean it up at all. There's way too many connectors on here. I'm a little bit nervous because it looks like it was also crunched up in a few spots, like cut really weird. So I'm a little bit nervous about the wiring, but we'll get there when we get there. For now, let's just take it off so we can get a better look at the motor. It's looking a lot better already with the wiring harness off. I just took it off step by step, kind of starting around the intake area. I used some tape and a pen to mark it. It's just over there. So I marked all the connectors, so it was a little bit easier to put back together. I'm just going to go ahead now and take off a bunch of accessories, water lines, engine mounts, engine hooks, and then probably intake and exhaust manifold. Basically just ripping it all apart so that I can go ahead and do all the painting, and then as I put it back together, I can refresh all the gaskets. I'm also doing a timing kit. Then it'll be ready to dump in the car pretty quickly. So for the first time in forever, I'm finally using my engine stand. So here we have the 3S GTE completely stripped down. Transmission, everything is off, as you can see. And I got it on this engine stand that I bought a few years ago for Ali's RSX for the old subscribers here. And never actually used it. It's really tall. They extended it right up in here by probably like a solid 12 inches, so it's really tall. But luckily I'm decently tall, so it works well for me. Let me show you guys how it looks, and then I'm going to go ahead and paint it and show you guys the difference. Here's how it looks in the current state. I've blocked off a bunch of the oil plugs and stuff from taking it apart. One thing that was kind of annoying is if you look in some of the coolant ports, there's a lot of gunk buildup. I think it started to corrode from sitting. So I'm definitely going to have to hose out the coolant ports and everything. Of course, there's the intake side with your injector bungs and all that. But as you can see, the block has a little bit of rust, being an iron block. So I'm going to go ahead and clean it all up, give it a bit of wire brush to scuff it up. And then I'm going to paint the iron part of it black with black engine enamel. And I think it'll make it look a lot better. We're not going to paint the head or anything. I kind of want to, but it's aluminum, so it'll actually clean up nice with some Scotch-Brite and a wire wheel. But of course, the valve cover, like I mentioned, I'm going to be doing red. Alright, let's clean up the block and give it some paint. These are the colors I'm using for the engine block. This is primer. The engine block has a little bit of rust, so I'm going to do a bit of primer first. Then black gloss engine enamel for the block. And then for stuff like the intake manifold, transmission, and other aluminum things, I'm using this aluminum color engine enamel. All this is good for 500 Fahrenheit. So let's go ahead and first put on a coat of primer. Here's my engine over here. I went ahead and taped off the oil pan. It's all taped off there, so you're not going to get any inside the engine. The head's taped off, and then also have a blanket just so no overspray falls on it. Here's a better view with the sun behind me. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and spray the block. Here's one more before look. Kind of just trying to get rid of that old aged cast iron. So let's see how it turns out. Huge progress was made. Pretty much everything is all done now. Let me give you guys a little look over. It's kind of hard to see because I have a really tall engine stand, but all the accessories are bolted on. All new gaskets, painted, intake manifold, painted, valve cover, tons of painted accessories. Alternator is on with a belt. AC is on but no belt because I don't have any fluid right now, so I don't want to seize it. So we're going to run it without a belt for now. New turbo gasket, heat shield, downpipe, all the sensors plugged in. This is that remote fill neck I was talking about before. This one came off my Gen 2. I believe this is a Gen 3 bottom with that bolted on top of it. So now we're ready to take it off the engine stand. I'll put it on the ground so that I can bolt on the transmission, do rear main seal, stuff like that. And then in the car it goes. It's time now to bolt the transmission onto the engine. Let me zoom in for you guys. We have our machined flywheel with a South Bend clutch kit, I believe stage 2. Don't quote me on that. Should be good for my street driven power levels. And of course we have a new throwout bearing all greased up on the fork in there. So I'm going to go ahead and put these two together, change out the axle seals, and it's pretty much ready to go in the car. Finally, the moment we've all been waiting for. The motor is fully assembled, ready to go back in the MR2. I'll give you guys a little walk around. I mounted half of the engine mounts onto the car. The bottom half of this mount, this is the rear mount with the rubber part on there. I did the speed sensor, both axle seals as well as this axle shield. I'm putting on both the axles after the motor is bolted up. And on this side here, I just did the clutch slave cylinder, and then also the bracket that bolts onto that, and of course the rubber parts already on the car. So it's just going to be a matter of lining up this hole with the rear one, 3 holes here with the left hand engine mount, and then the right hand engine mount are 2 bolts that go into there. So my motor is kind of lined up with the wheel well area. So now I'm going to jack up the car, which is the standard way to do it on these MR2s. So to do this, I got myself a little fender protector, which I'm also going to use while bolting accessories onto the motor. And I'm using that to protect my rear bumper, as well as using straps rather than chains on the rear tow hooks. So I have it on the furthest out setting of my crane. So we're going to go ahead and jack the car up to the sky as far as I can until this will fit underneath the wheel well. Then we're going to shove this in, put the car back down, then use the crane to pick this and raise it up to the motor mounts. So let's go ahead and get a time lapse going. Here's a quick update. The engine is in the engine bay but really low down. I've put the car back on some blocks, more forward than last time. And now I've got the engine crane connected to the engine. And so we're going to go ahead and lift the engine up to those mounts I showed you and get it bolted in. All been waiting for. The Gen 4 is in the engine bay. I think it looks really nice. I love white engine bays, especially when they're painted up like I did this one. I think the colors look really good together. It went in fairly easily. It was a little bit twisted. This was my first MR2 engine install, so I think it went pretty smoothly. I didn't break anything, which is a miracle. But it is sitting in the engine bay, and now I just need to hook up a bunch of stuff, fuel lines, coolant. Got to do my wiring harness still. You can tell it's not on there. I'm going to be doing the wiring myself. I might make a video about that. Let me know if there's anything specific you guys want to see, because this is where I'm going to end it in today's video. I think it turned out really well, and I know the video is already going to be really long. So thanks for watching. If you like this video, please hit the like button, and as always, please comment and subscribe. Thanks for watching.